Now let's start with our next topic, that is laws of thermodynamics. Hope you are understanding and watching the earlier videos which we have already provided. So coming to laws of thermodynamics, we are having three laws. First is the zeroth law of thermodynamics, then we have first law of thermodynamics and second law of thermodynamics. We will see this step by step. Starting with zeroth law of thermodynamics. Okay, what is zeroth law? The definition is, if two bodies are separately in thermal equilibrium with the third body, then the two bodies are in thermal equilibrium with each other. Okay, let us understand this by an example. Consider this is body A, this is body B, this is body C. Okay, my body A is in thermal equilibrium with body C, my body B is in thermal equilibrium with body C, then by default my bodies A and B are in thermal equilibrium with each other. What is thermal equilibrium? Thermal equilibrium, where there is no temperature change, means the temperature change doesn't take place, means delta T when it is 0, when my temperature at all bodies are same, there is no temperature change, that is known by thermal equilibrium. So consider these three bodies at different temperatures. Consider this is 100, this is 80 and this has 70. After some time these three bodies will attain one temperature. Consider that to be as 75. Let us consider, after some time you will see that body A is having temperature 75 degrees Celsius, body B is also 75 and body C is also 75. That is what the zeroth law states there. Okay, clear what is zeroth law and thermal equilibrium? Now as I have told you about thermal equilibrium, there is one concept which is thermodynamic equilibrium. It's a short topic, thermodynamic equilibrium. We also denote this as dead state. What is this? This is a two marks definition which might ask you exam or also in your vivas. When your system achieves mechanical equilibrium, chemical equilibrium and thermal equilibrium, then my body is said to attain thermodynamic equilibrium. What is mechanical equilibrium? When my summation of forces is 0 and my all summation of moments, means there is no force and there is no moment in the body, then I say it is in total mechanical equilibrium. What is chemical equilibrium? That is, the chemical composition throughout is constant. Chemical composition is constant, means there is no chemical change throughout the process, then I say the process is in chemical equilibrium. And in thermal equilibrium we have seen that no temperature change is nothing but my thermal equilibrium. Okay, so we can say that when my all these three states are attained, then my body is in thermodynamic equilibrium, or we define it as a dead state. Okay, clear with this concept? Now let's move to the first law of thermodynamics. The first law of thermodynamics states that the amount of heat transfer is equivalent to the amount of work done. What did I say? The amount of heat transfer is equivalent to work done. Means what? My 100% of heat is converted into 100% of work. Right? 100% of work, heat is converted into 100% of work, or vice versa. Right? This is my first law of thermodynamics. But we have learned there is one law that we know, that conservation law of energy. We know that energy can neither be created nor it can be destroyed, right? Neither can be created nor it can be destroyed, but it can be transformed from one form to the another, right? This is what our conservation law of energy. Consider the example which I had given you, the ball which I am throwing up from ground level, right? It attains the potential energy, right? It attains the potential energy, and after a certain height, when it reaches its kinetic energy, it again transforms into potential energy, right? Due to h, the height, it falls down, right? This is the example which I had given you earlier. It's a similar case that potential energy is converted into kinetic energy, and kinetic energy is again converted into potential energy, right? This states that energy can be transformed from one form to the another. For first law, we define that the amount of heat, that is del Q minus del W, amount of work done, we represent it as amount of change of energy. Okay, we denote the amount of work done is amount of heat transfer minus the net weight of amount of work done is the change in energy. We can also write it as Q is equals to U plus W, right? You need to remember this formula. Q means that is heat is equivalent to internal energy, that is change in energy, plus W, right? Clear with the first law of thermodynamics? Now we will move to our next topic, that is second law of thermodynamics. In second law of thermodynamics, there were two scientists named, first was Kelvin and Planck, and another was Clausius. These two scientists defined the term second law of thermodynamics. Before coming to this topic, the first law stated that amount of heat transfer is equal to amount of work done. In this, the drawback was this first law did not say how the heat was being transferred, right? How the heat was being transferred. There was no anything about the direction, right? Here, this second law states about the direction of heat transfer. Let's consider first Kelvin's Planck statement. The statement given by him was, it is impossible to construct a heat engine. It is impossible to construct a heat engine whose sole effect is to convert all the amount of heat into useful work. Means, let us understand this by the example. I am drawing one high temperature reservoir. HTR is high temperature reservoir, means the body having some high temperature. Okay, it is rejecting some heat, it is giving some Q. Here is my engine, heat engine, and this is my work done, Q, W. So it is impossible to construct a heat engine whose sole effect is to convert all the amount of heat into amount of work, right? Because we all know that there are some losses. So what is that loss? That is, here is heat rejected to some lower temperature reservoir, that is LTR, right? This is the second law of thermodynamics given by Kelvin Planck statement, that it is impossible to construct a heat engine whose sole effect is to convert the total amount of heat into net amount of work done. Clear with this concept? It is only applicable to engine, right? Heat engine. Moving to Clausius statement, what did Clausius say was that it is impossible to construct a heat pump. It is impossible to construct a heat pump whose sole effect is to transfer the energy, the low energy, into higher energy. Okay, let's understand this by an example. Again, I am drawing the same. This is the high temperature reservoir, and this is a low temperature reservoir. Okay, so my energy or temperature, we all know that it flows from higher to lower, right? But it is impossible to do from lower to higher unless and until there is one device that is known as heat pump, and I provide some work to it, right? So this was Clausius' statement that it was impossible to construct a heat pump whose sole effect was to convert all the heat from lower energy to higher energy unless a device is installed in it, right? Here you can say examples would be heat pump or refrigerator, right? Now we will see the concept of what is heat engine, heat pump and refrigerator. Okay. So students, now coming to our next topic, after the second law of thermodynamics, we will be looking at heat engine, heat pump and refrigerator. This comes for your exam point of view. You need to draw and derivate the formulas for each one of them. So what is heat engine? I have drawn. Heat engine is in between. What does heat engine do? It gives work, right? The work done here is positive. Work is done by the engine, right? From the heat interaction, that is Q1 minus Q2, we get the heat. Whereas in case of heat pump, I need to provide the work input. Then only I would attain high discharge or high temperature, right? And in the case of refrigerator, what is my required content? That is low temperature reservoir. Why do we use refrigerator? To attain low temperature, right? It extracts heat from the substance and makes it cool in the required temperature, right? This is the diagram which you need to draw for refrigerator. The notations here, T1 is the temperature. For high temperature reservoir, it is common for all. Different books illustrate differently, but I have drawn and made you clear that all the notations are same. Q1 is the heat added, Q2 here is heat rejected, okay? Q2 here is again heat rejected, Q2 here is heat which is being rejected, and here it is to the higher system. Similarly, Q1 and Q2 are, the diagram is same for heat pump and heat refrigerator. Only the main concept here is for heat pump we require high temperature, okay, or we need high discharge, and when in case of refrigerator we require low temperature. Or this is our desired effect, right? This is our desired effect. So let's see one concept, that is thermal efficiency of heat engine. How do we define efficiency? Efficiency is nothing but input upon output, right? Here the thermal efficiency is what my net work divided by heat input, right? So what is my net work here? That is Q1 minus Q2, heat rejected, the difference in heat, that is Q1 minus Q2 divided by what is my heat input, that is Q1. So this becomes my formula number 1, that is efficiency equals to Q1 minus Q2 upon Q1. In terms of temperature, you need to know what is my temperature at Q1. I am just denoting Q1 as T1 minus temperature at Q2, that is T2 divided by T1, right? You need to remember these formulas. Q1 minus Q2 upon Q1 and T1 minus T2 upon T1. This is my thermal efficiency. Coming to heat pump and refrigerator, we don't have the concept of thermal efficiency. We have another term, that is coefficient of performance. What it is? It is the desired effect to the input, ratio of desired effect to the input. Now in case of heat pump, what is my desired effect? That is, we denote this is as COP of, in bracket of pump. What is my desired effect in heat pump? That is Q1, which I require, high heat, divided by what is my heat, what is my work done, that input is my work, but what is that work? That is the change in this heat, that is Q1 minus Q2, right? In terms of temperature, if I need to write COP of pump equals to T1, that is my, I require higher temperature, right? Desired effect is my high temperature divided by what is my input, that is T1 minus T2. Okay, you need to learn these formulas. Clear? Now coming to refrigerator, what is my COP? COP of refrigerator, what the desired effect upon input, right? What is my desired effect here? I need lower temperature, so I am writing here Q2. Q2 divided by what is my heat work input? Work input is Q1 minus Q2, right? COP of refrigerator I write as Q2 upon Q1 minus Q2, and in terms of temperature, COP of refrigerator, in terms of temperature I write T2 upon T1 minus T2. Okay, you need to learn these 6 formulas because we will be solving some numericals. In some cases you need to remember the above formula, that is in terms of heat, and in some numericals you will be just given temperatures and you need to calculate COP or thermal efficiency. Okay, clear with this? These are very simple concept and you just need to remember this formula. Even you can derive if you know these diagrams. You in heat engine you need to calculate thermal efficiency, that is input upon output we know efficiency, and here we have input, what is my input, what is my output, output upon input, what is my output, that is net work divided by heat input. Heat is Q1 and my output would be Q1 minus Q2, that is my work done, and what is my heat input, that is Q1. Similarly for COP of performance, what is the definition, that is desired effect upon input, right? So what is my desired effect? Desired effect is here Q1 or higher temperature, so I denote T1 or Q1, and what is my input, that is difference in the Q1 minus Q2, right? And similarly for refrigerator you require the desired effect is lower temperatures, so we write that Q2 or T2. Hope you are clear with this concept of heat engine, heat pump and refrigerator. Okay, now next we will be seeing one concept, that is one small derivation, that COP, that is coefficient of performance of pump, is equals to coefficient of performance of refrigerator plus 1. This derivation is asked in exams quite a few times and very hot question. The derivation is very simple. For that you need to know the concept, that is the formulas which I had given you earlier. The first one was coefficient of performance for pump, which was T1 divided by T1 minus T2, means what we have written here, this was the higher temperature, this was my pump, this was my T2, right? This was my work done. So for heat pump the required desired effect was T1, so we have derived this formula T1 divided by T1 minus T2. And similarly the second step is coefficient of performance for refrigerator, that is T2 divided by T1 minus T2, because for refrigerator the T2 means the lower temperature is the desired effect, right? Now I will take COP of refrigerator and add 1 to coefficient of refrigerator, performance to the refrigerator. What my equation would be, see, T2 divided by T1 minus T2. I am writing the same step here, plus I am adding here 1. Now what will happen is the denominator term will be multiplied with this term 1, right? So T2 multiply this with this whole bracket. So what it will become, plus T1 minus T2, right? The same, it will go upside and it will be the same T1 minus T2 in the denominator, right? Now here you can see that T2 minus T2 would get cancelled. What remains is T1 divided by T1 minus T2. My LHS will be same, COP of refrigerator plus 1, here also COP of refrigerator plus 1 is what I have got, T1 divided by T1 minus T2. Can you see the same equation which we have written, that was equation number 1. So we can write from equation 1 we can write COP of refrigerator plus 1 equals to my COP of heat pump. Okay, hence proved. Right? Hence proved. Clear with this derivation? Only just 4 steps and you are done with this derivation. Hope you are clear with today's concept.